Welcome back. Here we go. So we are diving into another question. The last episode that you heard, although Westy was grilling me, was actually meant to be a sequence, but I talked for about 10 minutes talking about food. So we've broken these down individually, just so you can get some quick fire nuggets of information. So the next phase of the grilling, let it commence.
Perfect. Right, here we go. So we speak about pro sport. We spoke a lot about positives last time, but we know we speak about the negatives of the pro sport a lot. So if you're that coach or you're advising that coach, how do you get out of pro sport? What pathways, what would your advice be on how to get out of coaching within pro sport?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it's a great question, and I think it's a really important point that's never covered. It's not really been spoke about it with regards to the survivorship bias that exists within professional sport is the reason that the sport is the profession is stagnating in itself, because you've got 42 undergraduate programs churning out over 50, maybe 50 students each per year, over 40 master's programs churning out maybe more per year, all looking for jobs. So that could be 4,000 people a year looking to enter the professional space, a market of entry. So if you've worked your way up from academy intern to assistant academy, and this is what I did: academy intern, assistant academy coach. I leapfrogged lead academy into the first team at Wasps and worked. So if you work your way up through, like, that's that natural progression. But then if you get from assistant coach to like senior S&C, then you could, like, if you're ahead of S&C, there is nothing left for you to do. And the problem is you get a bottleneck. There's that bottleneck of people, the heads of department will try and hold their jobs for as long as possible because they get stuck in that survivorship bias and they don't know anything else until they may get fired. And then because they don't know anything else, or are too scared or lack awareness to try and do other things, or they just want to devote their life to it, and more power to them. Okay. Which is a really important point that we can talk about a lot for another time. But there is going to be a lot of churn at those assistant roles, though, and you either walk or you get fired. And 9 times out of 10, people don't walk for reasons that they are not because of they're happy to just leave. They won't do that, because I remember when I resigned from Wasps in October 2015, it was because it was a fucking shit show. Like, it was terrible. It was like, professionally, it was not a good place to work. And that's so many more stories for another time. And 99% of them can't really go on a podcast. So let's get behind the curtain for those.
Yeah.
But so I did that, but the thing that stood me in good stead was that I qualified as a personal trainer. I was working as a personal trainer, had like a few clients, and I was hustling away because I was trying to emulate what Zach Evernesh was doing in the States, in the UK, in 2008, 2007, when I broke my leg. And it just didn't. There was nothing happening there. Like, I built a gym in my back garden, but I'd had the awareness to understand. And then I actually found out that you could do it at professional clubs, and I was like, this is fucking sick. But I never let go of my own clients. I was still working with them because I realized, straight away when I got my first job, I realized someone had lost their job to get a job. And it's a really important thing to acknowledge, because I had lost clients before and people had left trainers to work with me. So I knew that there was turnover. I understood that turnover isn't just like this magic potion that jobs turn up and people don't get fired. Like, that's the real working world. And, I started, my parents were really good. They made me get a paper round when I was 11, 12. And my dad took me, I started off as a weekend. He took me to get the papers but it's like, that's your money now. You got to earn that, and you learn. And I worked all the way from then, and so you understanding first and foremost about the way in which you leave is going to be really important to how you move forward from it. When I ultimately went full out on my own, was I got fired in October 2018, and got let go from Ealing, and I already had a steady base of income supplementing it. I was probably making, if there or thereabouts, or more, through a few private ventures, working on my day off, and remote coaching. And I started remote coaching actually in 2000, and my first remote coaching client was 2009.
Yeah.
He worked on oil rigs, so I just used sending programs via email, and he loved it and he paid me for it. So there's that awareness. So first thing, if you want to get out, you got a plan to get out, and don't just jump ship, because not many people will survive if they just jump ship. You need to start to create a plan in how you want to move, and you can do it in a few steps. Because I was posting content, I think I spoke about it before. I posted some videos on YouTube, and my colleague at the time shared it to the following day, and it played on repeat on the big screen at Wasps all morning. Me talking about water and hydration on YouTube because someone asked me, and I was posting videos. So they played it, and I got bullied for it. And they call me a self promoter. They call me everything because I was doing me. I was putting myself out there. So first and foremost, do not be afraid to put yourself out there, and start talking just about who you are and what you do to through a few different pieces of content, and understanding that if you want to get out of pro sport and start working with athletes, for example, that you should be marketing yourself in a way that your peers don't give a shit about. Like, you're not going to market it to S&C coach. You don't speak in smart language. You have to explain, what you're doing and why someone giving helpful advice to, someone who's a young kid, and the person you want to coach, the way you talk to an athlete rather than have an academic conversation. So then I would, whilst, you've set your sight on leaving, maybe it's the Christmas, you've just had enough and you're going to get out. You may not get your contract renewed. I was on 10-month contract, so we had to wait till contract negotiations in early March to see if we'd get a new one next season. And so if you set your sight on it, then you know that you've got 6 months to make a difference. You've got 6 months to put a dent in, allowing you to survive. My mum always said to me, she said, do you know what, Sam? You're lucky you can afford to do an internship. You're lucky. And I was still working, but my mum and dad didn't make me pay rent, but I was still working. I still had my other jobs that I was doing, but she's like, you're lucky. And that's what's really something that should sit nice and tight with the listeners, is that you're really lucky to be in the position you are. So you need to work twice as hard to feel lucky in 2 years' time that you're in the position you're going to be in. And in that 6 months, you need to probably take on extra income, because the slope, the upward trajectory of creating a secondary income to go full income is a slog, especially if you don't, like with social media, if people don't know your name and you start to try and get your name out there, it's going to take time for people to trust you. So you have to put the groundwork in. But what I would say, the best place to find people that trust you are going to be within your network of pre-existing friends, local clubs, local resource, that your reputation, your club badge will open a door for you. So I'd start to utilize that, and maybe you could pick up some extra hours coaching a local rugby team, S&C, getting a few extra £100 from that, get your name around the club, start to take on some extra kids, run a half-term camp if you can, run an off-season little camp. These are the things that I did and that we started to do before we built the academy stuff out. And just make sure that you understand. I think the biggest thing is, really, S&C coaches have really good logical processes of the way that they think. And what you need to do is you need to start to understand, if you want to get out, you can get out. There's nothing stopping you from getting out. You'll miss it and you'll feel like you're nothing without it for a little while, as everyone does. But if you look at it from a principle of block periodization, you need to be in your accumulation phase whilst you're still in your job. You need to be accumulating contacts, talking to people, having conversations, building that bank of people that you can then intensify. You say, right, I'm available now. I'll start picking up some clients. And don't be afraid also to knock on the door of a local gym and say, do you need a PT? Do you need someone that can help train? Do you need a receptionist? Do you need someone to sit on the front desk? Do you want someone to do gym tours? Because that is going to teach you so much about the mindset of the potential clientele. Because for every lady, middle-aged lady that you bring round, she's probably got 2 kids that play sport. And you don't think about that. And then you have a conversation, you learn it that way. And guess what? It's fucking hard work. But if you want to earn more than 25 grand a year and work less than 60 hours a week, then you're going to have to earn less than 25 grand and work more than 60 hours a week for the first 6 months until you jump out the other side. So I think that covers that. I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah. I think I made a couple of notes while you were there. There's a couple of key points. I think a lot will see their current role as the reason why they can't get out, because it takes up too much time. But actually, if you flip that narrative, and this is something that we spoke about off camera, is actually the job you're in at the moment gives you the security to take risk.
Yes.
You can use the fact that you've got money coming in at the end of the month to take a couple of risks on trying to promote yourself. And I think the other thing is like one of the key things that I feel stood me in good stead as a coach is actually doing jobs outside of the profession we're in now. It gives you different perspectives on how you manage people when you're how you manage clients when you're in a private world. Because when you're in team sport, the clients are given to you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to know how to, you only have to know how to talk to one population. And at the end of the day, they're coming to you whether you like it or not, because someone's putting them there in front of you. Whereas if you want to go out on your own, you need to have those other skills and learn those other skills. So I think my number one point, not to hijack your points, is don't be afraid to go and do a job that isn't the job you want to do, to learn the skills that will help you transition out of pro sport, if that's where you're thinking you want to go.
Absolutely. Indirect transfer, that's what we will call that, as for an S&C term, which is amazing. And I as you were saying that, I remember one of the things that I always used to do is treat every player like they were paying you out of their own pocket, and you'll get much more buy-in from them and a lot better results, because that's just that energy you can bring. So how to get out of pro sport? If you're brave enough, give it a go. I'll see you next time. Hey there, podcast listeners. If you are serious about improving your athlete's sport speed and performance, I've got something game-changing for you right now. Imagine having instant access to all the tools, strategies, and insider secrets you need to systematically create speed gains over and over and over again, all in one place. I get it. Trust me. The internet is overloaded with information. You spend hours hunting for advice, and it's hard to know what works. But what if you had a proven roadmap, a proven system designed to build and improve sport speed, bridging the gap from the gym to the field, and even implementation to skills with fewer headaches? That is exactly why I've created the Sport Speed Insider after the successful publication of my book this year. This is definitely not a course. It's an exclusive coaching program where I walk you through in 10 minutes a week how to implement my revolutionary sport speed system. With weekly whiteboards, exercise breakdowns, and even training programs, you are going to be taken care of. And the best part, there's no noise, no guesswork. Just apply what I teach you in your environment immediately for just 49 pence per day. And here's the deal. As a podcast listener, you get a special invite. Go to www.speedbysportland.com/sportspeed insider and join us today and get exclusive training that is not there for public access. Plus, as a thank you, I've got some epic bonuses waiting for you. A full 12-week program, all my speed progressions, and an unseen London Speed Masterclass. Also, as an insider, you'll be the first to know about events, seminars, and receive exclusive insider discounts. But this is only for a limited time. Don't wait. Head over to www.speedbysportland.com/sportspeed insider now. Remember, success loves speed. If you've been waiting for the right moment to unlock real sports speed, this is it. Let's make it happen together in the Sports Speed Insider for just 49 pence per day, and I will see you on the inside.